Good afternoon, everyone. This is Major Eggman. Chief Modoc is out today at a conference, and so I will be running this. The first slide that we are going to go through is the age 60 retirement training. I'd like to give a few reminders. The first is please keep your questions until the end in the event that we will be talking about it during the slideshow. You are also able to type them into the chat if you'd like, and we will go through them. Second is I want to be very clear that this is for 8 people retiring at age 60 or their reduced retired pay age. So when you are going through this slide deck, please keep in mind this does not have to do with reserve retirements, and this does not have to do with regular retirements. This is very specific to people going up to age 60, reduced retired pay age, or gray area retirees that are now applying for their retirement age pay age. Second is these slides will be sent out. So please be patient. Chief will send them out in about a week or so once this is completed. Additionally, this is being recorded. So you will get the recorded link as well as the slideshow. So yes, they will be sent out. And I'm going to pass it over to Ms. Moses to start our briefing. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Crystal Moses and I work here in the retirement section at ARPC. I am a retirements lead. Primarily what I do is process age 60 and reduced retired pay age applications, which is what we're going to get into today. This is just a brief look at our agenda for today. We're going to discuss a few roles and responsibilities, the processing timeframes, some change in withdrawal requests, demotions for highest grade held purposes, the DD Form 2656, participating to pay age for those members, retirement conversions, and some recommendations for the MPFs, and we'll get into the frequently asked questions at the end. So for the overall roles and responsibilities, everybody should be pretty familiar with these. Here at ARPC, we pretty much manage the applications and we're just checking to make sure that everybody is eligible for what they have requested. Our processing timeframes for age 60 and members with their confirmed RRPA date, we ask that they submit these applications no earlier than 12 months from their retirement effective date and no later than 6 months from that date. Our service level goal is to have them completed and processed and sent to DFAS 30 to 60 days prior to their pay effective date. Here at ARPC, we have our two largest groups are those that are already retired in the gray area applying for age 60, and then those that are still participating. So keep in mind that some of the delays that can be expected listed at the bottom applied more so to our people who are still participating rather than our members who are in the gray area who are already retired awaiting pay. So some of those delays are if they submit their application less than 6 months prior to their retirement effective date. We don't always get them processed on time. We try to. Applications that have erroneous data, such as an incorrect retirement effective date, their SBP election does not match what we have in MilPDS, signatures missing, several other things like that. Members not having completed their full 20 years of satisfactory service by their retirement effective date can slow the process. And members who are participating up to their retirement effective date, if they submit change or withdraw requests within 30 days of that date, that can really slow down the process. If they have medical assignment availability codes, those have to be worked with or adjusted to get paperwork processed. And anybody assigned to headquarters on AGR orders, those members have to be reverted back to the unit level before we can process them here. So the change in withdrawal requests, these are primarily issues that we have with our members who are still participating. If they're going to submit a change withdrawal request, it has to be in accordance with AFI 363203 paragraph 3.11. They have to have strong justification for the need to either change or withdraw their request. The top 3 bullets up there are examples: severe hardships, that are not common to the Air Force member, the best interest of the Air Force, or accepting a continuation due to a new position and it goes past their approved retirement date. At the bottom, it tells you how to submit a withdrawal or change request, which is done through VPC. The main takeaway from this section is that if the member is within 30 days of their red, they have to submit a memorandum requesting to change or withdraw that retirement date, and it has to be endorsed by their chain of command. Demotions for highest grade held purposes. This again is an issue that's more so for our members who are still participating up to their age 60 or reduced retired pay age date. Because for the members in the gray, this should have already been accomplished by this point. So if there is a demotion and the member is requesting to retire at the highest grade held, we need to have that documentation in arms. And there are voluntary reasons and involuntary reasons, which is what is explained on this slide. We typically will retire at the highest grade held unless there is some kind of demotion order that we can look at, which is then looked at and a final determination is made. But those things really need to be completed in accordance with the AFI that they are demoted based on, and they need to be uploaded into their arms record. This slide covers some of the DD 2656, which is required for members who are retiring and requesting pay. This is something that they will need to submit. It is required by DFAS. It is used by all branches of the service. So some of the boxes on there might not apply to us, but still everything should be filled out as best as it can in its entirety. There is a new version that came out in March of 2022, and we are working with DFAS to determine when the old form, which is October 2018, will no longer be accepted. Additional information on how to fill out this form can be found at MyPERS, and there is a YouTube recording on how to fill out the form, and the link is listed here at the bottom. Some of the most common errors that we see here, which really slows down the process for all members when they submit their 2656 with their retirement application, is Section 1, Block 4, the retirement transfer date. So this is going to be either the member's 60th birth date, their approved reduced retired pay age date, or their actual retirement effective date if they are participating past their 60th birth date. Another section that we get common errors on is Section 2, Block 10, which is the bank information. A lot of members will check the active duty only, but DFAS actually needs the routing number and account number, so that has to be fully filled out. Otherwise, we have to return it to the member for them to fill in that information. Section 10 covers SBP coverage. That has to be filled out. It has to match what we have here in MilPDS, what they initially elected upon their 20-year SAT service completion. If it does not, we again have to send it back to the member to get that updated. The final area which we see a lot of errors is the signature section down in blocks 39 and 40. The member has to sign it, they have to date it, so does the witness. They have to be dated, both the member and the witness has to be dated on the same date. Note at the bottom, the PDF form filler is not acceptable for a signature option. It either has to be signed electronically with a CAC, or it has to have a wet signature and they can just scan it and send it in. So for those members that are participating to pay age, their retirement applications cannot be processed until after their absolute last date of participation. All of their final points have to be posted to their PCARS history, and that can take up to 2 to 3 weeks after that last duty or drill day. Their application will remain in a pending status until all of those points are posted. And that is, there is a notification on the application. I know a lot of members get frustrated but we have to wait for those points to show up on their PCARs because that is what their pay is based off of. For retirement conversions, we have an option. There is an option for members to convert from a regular retirement to a reserve retirement, and that is under Title 10 USC Section 12741, Chapter 1223. It authorizes the member to convert their active duty pay retirement to a reserve retirement. There is additional information, really good information on the link that's provided there. The standard criteria for this is that the member has to complete 730 days of reserve satisfactory service after they have completed 20 years of TAFMs. So that is not active duty service. So if they continue with active duty service after the 20 years, that does not qualify. On their PCARS history, the type duty is going to be numbers 1 through 5. Sorry. On the PCARS history, the type duty that is qualifying is 6 through 9. 1 through 5 does not qualify because those are all active duty points. To also have this conversion, they have to ask for this in writing. So they need to provide some kind of memo, some kind of written statement saying that they actually want this to happen. They also need to be aware that if they elect to convert their retirement and they have an RRPA date that they are going to use, that they do not qualify for TRICARE until they hit the age of 60. On the 21st of September, we will have more information in another presentation about this. So some recommendations for the MPFs. For the review of withdrawal and change dates, we really need to make sure that they're in accordance with AFI 363203. We want to make sure it's strong justification and that it is that if they are within 30 days that they provide that memo signed by their chain of command. It's really helpful to read the A1 up for Air National Guard members and the A1 trending topics for the reserve members. There's a lot of good information in there that you can use. Something really important that a lot of people kind of don't do, have your members update their contact information to reflect their personal email addresses. A lot of times we need additional information and we send emails through MyPers to the members. It still goes to their military member and for their military address. And for some reason, they do not get the request for the information. And then we just cannot process until we get it, which can really delay the process. For those members that are still participating and we need to wait for their points to roll up to process, we have mock certificates that are available via MyPers because we won't be able to get their retirement order and certificates to them until after their retirement date. Again, going back to the demotion orders, please make sure that they reflect the current and correct AFI for the demotion and make sure that they're uploaded to ARMS correctly so that we can access them. If they're not there, we cannot retire them in the requested rank. Also, make sure that your retirees understand the importance of ensuring that they have a username and password to update anything really in MyPers after they lose their CAC. A lot of people say, well, I can't do anything because I don't have my CAC anymore. You can get a username and password to request access to get back into the systems and look at everything. If you're helping a gray area retiree and they come to you for assistance with submitting their 2656, please try as best as possible to help them submit it electronically on their own, giving them guidance. But if all else fails and you need to submit their 2656 for them, we ask that you please use the standard naming convention. That's the very last bullet, because this will help us identify what it is and that it needs to be processed quickly. We also ask that you manage your TRs and VPC retirement reports, both the opened ones and the closed ones for all retirements, especially for those that have changed dates and withdrawals. We want to ensure that MilPDS has been updated by us and that if it needed to be canceled, it was canceled. If it needed to be withdrawn, it was withdrew. If MilPDS does not get updated, the member can lose all of their information, their CAC will no longer work and they won't be able to log into any network sites. So down below is a picture of where to find it in MilPDS. It's under RS info, under retirement application. And there it is. If it still says approved, then it's going to go through. If it doesn't, if it's not supposed to be, then we need to know to either change it to cancel, to change it to canceled. Otherwise, they will still be separated or retired. Some of the frequently asked questions. Do I need to submit a DD form 2656 if I'm applying for an age 60 or reduced retired pay age retirement? Yes, you do. It is absolutely necessary. What are age 60 retirement inquiries are eligible for a call to the FSSE line? Change withdrawal requests within 30 days of their retirement effective date so that we can stay on top of it and get it processed. Any application requiring suspension per AFI 363203. If the member's retirement effective date has already passed, but they've submitted their application 60 days prior and it hasn't been processed yet, that's a reason. Can a former member receive a retirement? If the member did not transition into the retired reserves, but they have 20 years of satisfactory service, they are eligible to receive retired pay based on basic service alone. That does not include longevity. There is AFI 363203 paragraph 9.3, which does explain more on former members and their benefits that they get as retired. Common question is, when will my retired pay start? DFAS has 30 to 45 days to process a retirement package once they receive it from us here at ARPC. The link below has further information on that. How do I know what my retirement effective date is? For requesting pay at age 60, it's your 60th birthday. For requesting reduced retired pay age, it is your confirmed RRPA date or later. It is not the date that the member transferred to the retired reserves. I'm participating up to my age 60. Why didn't my application route through my chain of command? The system does not require the chain of command approval for retirements for pay age applications. However, the member should still keep their chain of command in form. Future systems may adjust that. And any systems that you have should be system issues that you have should be directed to our system support for a quicker response. Do I need to apply for age 60 RRPA retirement via VPC if I am already in the retired reserves? Yes. To get that age 60 pay or RRPA pay, you have to submit an application with a 2656 attached to it. If a member is still participating under their RRPA date until their RRPA date or age 60 date, can they apply for a reserve retirement and attach the 2656 to the application? No, they have to apply for the specific retirement that they are eligible for at that time. If my MSD, HYT, ETS, mandatory separation date, higher tenure, expiration term of service is 3 months prior to my RRPA age 60, how do I proceed? So you can request an MSD, HYT, ETS extension, or you will have to apply for a reserve retirement on, but not after the MSD, HYT, or ETS date. And then you will have to reapply for an RRPA or an age 60 retirement to get your retired pay. What is the most recent version of the DD form 2656 and how long will the old form be accepted? The current version is the March 2022 version. Please have all applicants use the new form immediately. We anticipate that the older version is going to be cut off at the beginning of 2023. There are further information at the link provided.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm going to hop in on this question because it's something that I want to talk about. And this has to do with all retirements because I'm just going to keep giving plugs. So when are age 60 or reduced retired pay age retirement applications transitioning to my FSS? So on every one of these, I've said to be determined because we are still working with the contractors to create what we believe will be called my retirements. That is set to go live on or about November timeframe. ARC retirements is way more complex than regular retirements. And so it's taking a lot longer than I think the development team had intended. So what I want you to know right now is a little bit about the status of where retirements is as a whole. And I will kind of give you some updates so that any FSSs that are out here, any people, the more you can tell your wings, the more we would appreciate that communication. We get inundated with tickets asking for statuses, or we get units who don't ask for statuses of things where we think, why didn't you call us 3 months ago? Because we're not behind on that. And so we're trying to shift the culture of retirements is behind, because we're really, really not that far behind anymore. So I'm going to go through each of our queues, and then I want to tell you a little bit about Salesforce as we go into that. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is reserve retirements. So our goal is to get reserve retirements completed within 60 days of date of receipt. Okay. So it doesn't matter if you apply a year out, then we're going to try to do it within 60 days, right? We are only about 200 shy from that. And it's kind of a moving target because every day it accumulates. The thing about reserve retirements in Salesforce is if you're supposed to request your retirement 6 to 12 months prior to when you want to retire, we kind of have some leeway and leniency on when we can stop those applications. So I'm letting you know that as kind of a preemptive communication to you all, which is that please expect that we are going to try to do a blackout period similar to my evals, where we stop reserve retirement applications from coming in. Because if it's only for 1 month, that really shouldn't affect the field since we need them 6 to 12 months in advance. The second queue I want to talk about. So by the way, in that queue, we have about 1,100 and we have a team of 8 working those. Second thing is regular retirements. We have a team of 4 on those. And right now we're at about 190. We are at December retirement dates that we have had for at least 60 days. So these are pay affecting. So we're going to continuously get late ones, even though the AFI, I can't foot stomp it enough, says 6 months. But Team Heo is in the field and I understand the things that happen at the wing. So I understand why some of these come in last minute. We just hope that we can help push out and plan. Those are also pay affecting. But again, if we need to do a blackout period of potentially 1 month, that will more than likely be what we are going to do. We don't want to preemptively tell you that it's going to be August or September for a go live date of November, because we're not sure enough that that's when it's going to happen. So that's kind of what we have going on right now. So if you have somebody who has a regular retirement and we've had it for at least 60 days, please, if it's coming up and something has happened, that, there are issues that happen here that we don't intend for, but that's where we're at. So please push that message out. We are not behind on those. And then the last application, which this one is extremely important and difficult, is this age 60. So we have a team of approximately 9 right now. We have 1,900 applications. The problem we have with this one is seat. But we have people who apply every month for 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16 dates. We can never get caught up because gray area retirees are continuously submitting it after the fact. So when we go to how can you help us as the MPF, please foot stomp to your members retiring that they have to apply for retirement when they turn 60 or their RRPA date. Please also mention to them to get a login name and password. One thing I do want you to know is that we are working what that solution will look like in the new system. We know that your retirees are coming to the FSSs asking for help, and we appreciate you because we know that you're helping them and you're helping us, because a lot of these turn into congressionals from the members because they get extremely frustrated. They can't get into the system. They can't, even with the username and password, cannot upload a form, right? So they call the TFSC. And if you saw previously on the slide, it would very much help us to have a standard naming convention so that we can get those more expeditiously and create an application on their behalf. We hope and pray that the new system will make it easier for these members, but we're not sure. And so that's kind of what it looks like as far as how many applications we have there. And then the more that you can tell your units, hey, you're participating up until the day that you turn that age. It does say it in the application. It's going to take 7 to 10 business days after for the points to roll up, for the last day of participation to show, and that's super important for their pay. And there's nothing we can do about that, right? The member has to participate in order to have those points towards their retirement. Sorry, I'm looking through my notes. Some of the initiatives we're taking here is really working with DFAS Cleveland on pay. There are issues that I just want you to be aware of, which is that we are the only people as the branch of service that can contact DFAS Cleveland and expedite an application or communicate with them, but we need to give them their time too. And so we are working with them and meeting, and sometimes the system interfaces don't happen and they don't work the way that they should. So we are talking to them constantly, trying to make it better. Additionally, we are going to be working on a gray area retiree working group and being more involved. They have a place on their website. We're trying to get the message out, and we're also trying to update the NERP letter to talk about the fact that members need to, and put it on the retirement order for when they do a reserve retirement, if we are able to, as a reminder, this is what's going to happen. Another thing that comes up a lot is my commander submitted for retirement and it didn't go through coordination. Well, a commander can't really stop a member who is at pay age. And so there are reasons to stop them. And those were mentioned before in 3203. And we definitely, if somebody's undergoing, non-judicial punishment or an OGD, we want to talk about it. However, that is why these applications do not go through coordination right now. So sometimes people, or if the member checks that they are retiring due to their MSD or their HYT, it will not go through coordination because it's a mandatory separation date. We are working at what that will look like in the new system. Additionally, we are working through change date and withdrawal requests to make them a little bit more user friendly. Being that right now we've had over 500 change date and withdrawal requests in the past since the beginning of the year. And every time we get one of those in the system, when it's beyond 30 days, we have to send an email to our colonel, and then our colonel lets us know approve or disapprove as the retirement approval authority. And so that is a lot of them. And we are hoping that we are able to create a new function in the system that will allow them to go directly to her. But the way it's working here right now is that if it doesn't exist in the old system, then it is more than likely not going to be created in the new system at the beginning. So we hear you, and I'm telling you, I know that there are frustrations you have out there on the way that things work and doesn't this happen, or why can't we? And we're just under a lot of constraints up here, but trying really hard to get the new system to be better than the one that we have now. I'm looking through my notes one more time. I wanted to address the 12741 conversion question and just say that out loud to make sure that everyone hears it. So why do people want to convert their regular retirement to a reserve retirement? It's because a regular retirement time and grade depends on how many active duty days you've served. So if I'm a lieutenant colonel and I did 2 years AGR, but I've been a lieutenant colonel for 5 years, and I would prefer to retire as a lieutenant colonel with a reserve retirement, right? Time and grade is sometimes the reason why people switch over. The additional thing is because it's a larger pay. So that is what we see most often. And we really do want to go through this. These are, we live, eat, and breathe retirements, but they are definitely not things that are known to the field. And so we're hoping to provide training on that. We are also on the 21st of September providing training on 1405 dates. And so that's on the next slide, which I want to go on. If you have a specific retirement training need that there's no information out there to fill that void in your FSS, then please send me an email and tell me what you would like to see. We are trying to give information out the best of our ability because we depend so much on the FSSs and the CSSs. So please, I have gotten no one to send me anything. So if you have something, please let me know. Let me go through other questions and see what has not been answered yet. If the old. If the old 2656 form was used on a retirement application in VPC that is still pending audit, how can a member upload the new version? If it's still pending on us, they don't need one. That is correct. I just want to make sure everybody hears that. So DFAS is trying to work on when are they going to sunset that. So that's why we are saying like you must immediately have any person who between now and the beginning of calendar year 22 hasn't already submitted one, let us know. I know there's going to be a few from the beginning of the year into probably the spring that may have already submitted them, but most definitely team, if you can tell your regular retirees that are inputting applications to put that 2656 in there, we would greatly appreciate it. And I can't foot stomp enough that a reserve retirement does not need a 2656. I cannot tell you how many people we have or how many people call the FSSE line because they would like their 2656 to be updated in their reserve retirement application. Okay, this is a good question and I'll talk about it a little bit. I think Sergeant Elfring has been answering stuff, but how are applications handled when a member is 6 months from requested retirement date and submits both the RRPA application and the retirement application at the same time? So that's getting a confirmed reduced retired pay age app through and then trying to apply for that retirement date. Will the retirement application be automatically adjusted? We just tell members to submit the RRPA well in advance, but that doesn't always happen. So let me tell you what's going on with our RRPA queue. So right now that's about 4,000 tickets and we are prioritizing birth years of about approximately as early as 1960 through 1972. The reason those dates is because the earliest that you can receive pay is the 50 years old. And so we are trying to get ahead of all of the applications coming in. There will be some anomalies. And if you feel like you have one that really needs to be pushed because their retirement is, let's say, within 60 days and the member can't determine it, call the FSSE line for that one. But team, that should be very few and far between. We do concurrently look to see if an application is pending to get a confirmed RRPA date. And if one is pending, then we will go in and complete the RRPA application and then process the age 60 application. And our technicians are pretty good about, and I can't say that this is something an expectation for every single person, but if we are off on that retirement date, we will more than likely contact the member and just ask, would they like that earlier date? And if it's wrong, tell them that they need to, we need to adjust it to the later one. For RRPA, if a member is doing a reserve retirement, they do not need to have their RRPA application completed prior to when they do a reserve retirement. Next question is, how long are applications pending audit to orders and application processed? A 20-year active duty retirement with the retirement date of 1 May of 23. I believe I answered that. We're in the December timeframe and we could be quicker. However, we aren't because we get so many last minute that we have to go back and complete. What is the sunset date of VPC and MyPERS? I was under the impression it was scheduled for August. August is not the date, but every single program that exists within it, MyPERS and VPC has a different timeline associated with it. So you might be very specifically speaking to the evaluations application for my decks, but that is not the same for retirements. And the reason why you've seen not a ton of information is because of the shifting and the moving of when that is going to be completed. And I'll tell you about the sunset. I mean, internally, you know, the leadership is constantly discussing VPC and MyPERS, but I would expect for the field that November be the cutoff date. If you have tickets that are still in the queue, if you have retirement applications that are still in the system, those are the things that we're working through on how we're going to complete those, how we're going to communicate to the member, right? So we're going to be working through potentially 3 systems of MyFSS as well as internal to us, RNT and Remedy to process them. Does a retiree get back pay to his or her 60th birthday if they don't submit their application in 2656 until after that? Yes. So I think it is a 5-year, I think it's the Barring Act, goes back 5 years. It's 5 or 6. Now I'm second guessing myself. 5. they will get back pay for that time. So we can get that on the slides and we'll get that back out to you after. I need to scroll down because Sergeant Elfring may have already answered it too. Retirement transfer. So the 2022 version of the 2656 is in this article. So I'm going to go back to this link. Hold on. I want to show you where it is because I put it in here because there's one thing I want to note. So this knowledge article here, nope, hold on. Maybe I didn't put it in here. It's 14311. So I'll make sure that it's on there, but Article 14311 also has the 2656 checklist, and we double checked it yesterday. And we are trying to work to get it updated, a helpful checklist for the ARC component to go through the 2656 to update. How can we help a gray area retiree find out what their current SBP election is so we keep their 2656 from getting kicked back? You have an answer for that? Submit a ticket. Submitting a ticket to entitlements is the best way for you to help that individual. Yeah, sorry, I'm like kind of going up and down, but Sergeant Elfring, yeah. For the members who are out, you cannot do that. Okay, I'm going to go past that. Yes, if a member is at the end of their MSD extension and over 60 and applying for retirement, 100% they're going directly into pay. So they need to apply for age 60 retirement instead of a reserve retirement. If a member is going into pay, they must go into a pay application. Do not even worry about the reserve retirement in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so no. Air National Guard members need to complete a 2656 for a regular retirement or if they're going directly into pay. They just do not need to do it if they are going into the gray area. So I'm 45 years old. I'm nowhere near my RRPA or my age 60. And now I am going to just go into the gray area because I have 25 years of SAT service. That is not. So just to clarify the answer to that. Do gray area retirees get time and grade credit towards their high 36? I know. Chief Hartman, if you could send me an email. I see you directly messaged me. So if you can send us an email, I can get back with you. Members, you're applying for an active duty retirement. Okay. That's interesting, Colonel Thomas, because I checked it yesterday. So I will definitely look into that. It worked for me yesterday, but you know, systems. And on systems, if you have somebody whose retirement application is stopped and you cannot get it to the next place and your PSM has done everything that they can do to route it, please submit a ticket to systems here, not to retirements. Systems will help get that fixed and push it forward. Retirements cannot do anything, and I don't want anybody waiting on an answer to that because they put it into our queue. Hey, Chief Bush, is a divorce document required with the 2656? Yes, if the member divorced after retiring, it will affect their SVP election. Lieutenant Colonel Thomas, you can send them to, are you talking specifically about helping an individual get questions answered on their specific retirement situation? Or are you talking about, I guess I would need a little bit more on that, sir. Because some items are appropriate for the FSS line. Some items, hopefully my PERS, we have an article that helps answer a question. If not, an FSS or a CSS, and if all of those are exhausted, I'm not sure. We could definitely make sure that we have something out there. A miscue ticket is always great if no one can help. And by the way, those Let me just see real quick. Give me just one moment. So Colonel Thomas, if you're asking if you turn 60 and you can go until 62, then whatever your last day of participation, then you would just put in your application for after that. So you'd continue to participate and then you would, you lost me, sorry. No, you're okay. Are you good? Okay, you would continue to participate. You would put your application in for whatever day after you turn 60, as long as it's not past your MSD of 62. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks to Miss Moses, and for everyone for joining. Like I said, these slides will be sent out, and I hope you found them useful. 21 September is when we will complete all of the rest of our training. And if you have anything very specifically, let me know. Thank you, everyone. Give us 1 minute. We're going to put ourselves on mute and we're going to do a little bit of shuffling for the Deers training. Thank you.